Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Generation Next Nation. Let's get it started. We're gonna talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta, okay? And this is gonna be particularly about K Michelle, Kelly, Drew, and Portia. And I'll throw some special guests in there as I go along. But we're gonna really try to get a little deep dive, not too long, into what is going on with these two, because I don't understand what K Michelle problem is with Drew specifically. I definitely don't understand what her problem is with Portia. But of course, you guys know after the show aired, all the content creators went and upload their stuff. I wait some time, and this particular one, I watched it probably 2 or 3 times because I'm trying to figure out what is really going on. I'm trying to read these people through the screen. Now, before we get started, as always, thank you to all my subscribers, to anybody who leaves a comment. I love it, I love it, I love it. And it does not go unnoticed. I definitely appreciate it. Next, all my commentary is alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. All right. This show is particularly bothering for me because I just seen a lot of little key things that was said, and I start thinking because my mind works real weird like that. So I start thinking about other stuff and trying to piece this puzzle together so it makes sense for me. But before we get started, we're going to talk about Kelly real quick. Kelly sitting there with her mom talking about the restaurants. Apparently Kelly has a new man named Jarvis we have not met, so that's great. She apparently met him at a Hawks game. Wasn't too much to say there other than Kelly's husband still not allowing her to film with the kids. K Michelle, red flag for me. You have a husband that's a dentist, but yet you're at another dentist office getting dental work done because you don't like him working on you. That's kind of odd. And she's telling Dr. Cranston about the girl scheming and plotting on her in Dallas. There you go with the scheming and plotting. Okay, Michelle, we really need to know what that is. Now, Phaedra, Angela, Portia, and Drew sat down and had lunch together. Portia, I'm not Portia. Phaedra was talking about her event that she's having, the sound bath event. She hope everybody gets there. Portia is like, I don't know what's going on with Kay. Maybe some voices in her head, and she basically said what we're all thinking. Kay Michelle is not ready for the level of friendship that they're trying to give her. And I see that, and I'm going to tell you why I see that. Not Phaedra, Portia was definitely right on that comment. She is not ready for the level of friendship that these ladies are trying to bestow upon her. Portia and her sister was together. That was pretty nice, but it was weird. Like, Dennis showed up unexpectedly while there was a mariachi band outside of her house that Mike sent over. And then who has snakes delivered to their house? I mean, that was something for the kids to do for fun. I don't know. Portia, but it's Portia. Ain't no telling what happened with her. Um, Kelly and Shamia are at the doctor. Now, this was a particularly odd scene for me because Kelly and Shamia are at the doctor discussing her baby boy embryo. And she needs, I guess, the surrogate mom. Gerald is not showing up anymore. She said it's uncomfortable for him to watch and he doesn't want to be on screen. We have been saying this over and over again. Gerald don't want no parts of Housewives. It's Shamia that wants it. Shamia, if you don't stop thirsting for the cameras and the fame, because you had little celebrity status there in Atlanta, you sing at the Hawks game, you hung around the right people. But Gerald don't want the extra limelight that comes with being a Bravo celebrity. And he's telling you this, and you are just not listening. You're not picking up what he putting down, as they say. He don't want to be around the camera. You signed up as an housewife. You came on here showing us your big estate, your husband, your kids, and all this stuff. Now all of a sudden, Gerald is backing off. Don't let that housewife thing go to your head, and definitely don't let it destroy what marriage you have. But I'm starting to think it's more to Gerald than meets the eye. Okay, so of course everybody shows up at Phaedra's house. I'm gonna be honest, Phaedra, we're just gonna get right on down to the scene, to the dinner scene. But I thought it was really nice the way Phaedra had everything set up. The ladies are laying out there in the pool. Of course, Shamia pool loses air, and somebody, I think K Michelle said that pool is cursed. And then some other ladies, they didn't want to get in the water. But the people who participated seemed to have gotten something out of it. Pinky was skeptical as usual, but everybody else seemed to have enjoyed themselves. Okay. And I was just surprised Phaedra played that flute so well. She did an excellent job. One of her many talents. Phaedra is a woman of many talents, from being a mortician to a lawyer. Now she playing the flute. What's next, Phaedra? One thing about Phaedra, she is not one of those people that shy away from learning something new. Because who'd have thunk we be seeing Phaedra playing the flute on Real Housewives? That's all I'm saying. So let's get to the nitty gritty so we can figure out what the hell is wrong with K. Michelle. First, before we get started, I like K. Michelle. I don't have anything against K. Michelle. My opinions are going to be just how I see her act on the screen. Yes, I am aware that after the show aired, a lot of these ladies got on social media and start Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and going back and forth. What he said, she said, and this, that, and the third. And we're going to talk about Kelly and her plea. Anyway, they sat down, and K. Michelle started, talking to, they was like, well, what is going on? And K. Michelle said, well, let me just say this. She said, my first encounter with Portia was her telling this lady that she slept with some married man on a plane from the BET Award. And that shocked her. But K. Michelle, go look at last year, episode 1, season 1, when Kelly and Brittany hopped on the scene, sat on that couch and looked Portia in the face and say, why'd you steal that lady's husband? That stayed in Portia's mind forever when it came to Kelly. So now I have a get back because I know you slept with some lady's husband. I'm going to use that against you. That's how they play that game on the Housewives thing, K. Michelle. Now, it may have been shocking to you to see Portia say it, but go back and look at the episode when Kelly said it. See, Kelly started this fire with Portia first. Portia did not start this with Kelly. So that's why I'm always going to be team Portia in this fight, because Kelly came in hot with Britt Edie after Portia and Kenya, and it didn't go well for neither one of them. All right. So then she said, I'm sick of you guys. We got back to Dallas. She said, we went to Dallas and then y'all started scheming and plotting. And I heard behind the scenes y'all were gathering information. So they're saying who? She said Drew, Phaedra, and Portia. Now Portia's like here, well, you telling me I'm not a friend, but I'm standing next to you trying to console you. And the whole time you thinking I'm the person that said it. Same thing I said last week. You saying it's Portia, knowing Portia sitting down there trying to console you, trying to be a good friend to you, and the whole time you were the one she was talking about. Portia was the one that K. Michelle was talking about. Now she said, "Well, Portia, when I got out the hospital, the first thing you said, did I have a miscarriage?" She didn't know. How are you holding that against her when she didn't know? And if she did know and she did that, then Portia, you was wrong. But at that moment, maybe Portia was trying to make a scene because maybe she didn't want people to know that you had an issue with your plastic surgery. Maybe she didn't know you had already told us that. Some people may be a little embarrassed that they booty leaking. So maybe the miscarriage sound like a better story. I don't know. Then she said she didn't like the Kelly comment, or the miscarriage comment. So then Phaedra says, well, to be clear, so this is what you're saying. And then she said, oh no, one more. The black comment. And then Drew was like, oh my God. And then she was like, um, why do you care? And then K. Michelle was like, well, why do you care? So they're going back and forth. So according to K. Michelle, all of these things were going on. She was told this behind the scenes, but she never said who told her. Somebody want to guess Shamia? Allegedly, I'm going to say Shamia because every time K. Michelle was talking, the cameras kept zooming over to Shamia to look at her facial expressions. I think Shamia was telling K. Michelle certain things that maybe the women had let on to her that they were going to do or bring up if needed, because Shamia has always been a friend to the show and they may have felt comfortable talking to her because she was allegedly Portia's friend. And now that the friendship is off, Shamia is over there spilling the game plan to K. Michelle. Just my opinion. So her and Drew are going back and forth. Why do you care? Why do you care? And Drew says, stop saying his name. And then she was like, keep my name out of your mouth. You know, and then they're going back and forth. And K. Michelle, like, I don't know. Drew said, I don't know you. K. Michelle said, keep my name out of your mouth, Drew. And Drew was like, I don't know you. She said, Drew told K. Michelle, I don't know you. And then K. Michelle, but she said, but you know me. You trying to find out stuff about me, looking at my resume. And then K. Michelle, well, it wasn't nothing to look up. Wasn't much on your resume. And then Drew got pissed and said, well, girl, why don't you go yodel somewhere? So K. Michelle, you just sat here and said to us to be clear, that the ladies was plotting and scheming behind the back to set you up for whatever, gathering information on you. But you just admitted that you was trying to gather information on Drew because you just admitted you looked at her resume and wasn't much to see. So the exact same thing you're accusing them of doing, you were doing. I'm just saying. Drew said, "Look, you do not fit in." Okay? Then Phaedra said, "Calm down. I do have a noise ordinance in my neighborhood." And Drew said, "This is all in your mind. Something is wrong with you." And then Kay Michelle just kind of, calmed back down just a little bit, and then she directed it back to Portia again. But Drew was right. Drew said, "This is all in your mind. You need to calm down. I don't know what's wrong with you. You're not fitting into this group." And Kay Michelle, it doesn't look like you're fitting into this group. You have real problems fitting in with these girl groups. But I'm gonna keep going because I have again some thoughts on that. Now, Kay Michelle said, "Look, you dated." Looked at Portia, said, "You dated my ex. You know who he was. And then you were talking about me to my ex." And then Portia kept trying to explain to this girl, "Look, this was before I knew you. I didn't even know you yet." And she said, "But you all up in my face coming to see me, and now we're in the same circles basically, and you're not gonna tell me you dated my ex." Portia is telling you, "I dated this man before we were even friends." This is Atlanta, small town. I kind of get where K Michelle's coming from a little bit, but I also understand what Portia is saying. Portia said, "I didn't even know you when I dated your ex." And I'm sure these people have dated people who were in close proximity or 6 degrees from somebody they know. Because Phaedra went in the confessional and said, "Hey, I dated one of Portia's ex." It's not that deep. You are a married woman. Why are you concerned about Black and these exes? Shouldn't you be concerned about Dr. Cranston? But I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. So Phaedra said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The man said, this is how that Portia said, "Why do I always end up with other people's men?" And Portia said, of course, at the time we were not friends. Then Shamia goes in there and says, "Oh, isn't that a violation of the girl code? I guess the rules change. I don't know." And I'm like, "Girl, stop. Shamia, just stop. Ain't no violation of girl code. If she wasn't friends with K Michelle, didn't know K Michelle, there's no girl code violation. You just trying to start some mess, okay?" So, of course, Phaedra admitted that they dated the same person. Then they just kept telling her, "Kay Michelle, you are too sensitive. You are way too sensitive." She said, "Since day one, I tried to watch your back." And then Kay Michelle said, "Basically, I don't need you to watch my back. I got my own back." And I think over there, little Kelly said, "Yeah, that's right. We got her back," or something to that effect. Something about watching her back. They didn't need Portia's help. So Portia's like, "I'm done. I'm finished. I'm done with all of this." Okay. So Phaedra said, "Okay." She tried to interject. "We have established," and then that's when Kelly said, "established that Portia has screwed every Nigerian man in Atlanta." Kelly, there was no need for you to open up your mouth. It really wasn't. And then when Portia reacted to Kelly and got up out of that table saying, "What? I'm done with this. I'm done with this." And she said, "I know you ain't talking when you slept with a married man on the plane coming back from the BET award, and you know who he is because he's a client of yours, Phaedra." And Phaedra was like, and then all of a sudden Kelly, "You got me effed up, getting up here, leaving and all that." Kelly, you started the fire. Portia had already had this conversation with you before, and she kind of left it alone. There was no need for you to make the comments you made about Portia sleeping with every married Nigerian man in Atlanta. You have an issue with Portia for no reason, because once again, as I keep saying, you started it with Portia last season when you and Britt Eady asked her, "Why did you steal that lady's husband?" When you said that to Portia, and even after she went and sat down with you and had a conversation, and y'all worked through it, you went back, changed the conversation, and she said, "Forget it. I'll send some flowers to your opening." She tried to be cool with you and squash it. You kept bringing it up. So no, you get no grace from me, Kelly. So now you all over Twitter trying to act like these people got families. You shouldn't be saying that, but Portia got a family too. And you shouldn't have said what you said in that moment, okay? Now, Portia, at the end of the day, didn't want to out you. She didn't want to out you. She didn't want to out that pastor. You started that, Kelly, trying to ride with K Michelle. K Michelle, I'm about to talk about you in about 60 seconds, but I want to make sure this is clear. Kelly had no business saying what she said. When K Michelle and Portia came to the agreement that I'm no longer effing with you, you do you. You think I don't have your back? Then fine, you go and do you. And K Michelle said, I don't need you to have my back. I got my own back. That was the end of the conversation. And then Phaedra stepped in and said, hey, so we have established. She was trying to close it out and reel it on in. What did you do, Kelly? That Portia did da 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 da. You started that. So whatever smoke Portia got for you going forth, you deserve because you did not have to interject yourself in there. You are constantly trying to take up for K Michelle and take up for Shamir or be Shamir's lapdog and try to destroy Portia. I see both of y'all coming after Portia. But what I also notice is Drew, not Drew, K Michelle doesn't have the same energy for Drew that she has for Portia. So she goes in on Drew. But when she goes to Portia, she kind of lightens up a little bit. But she do not like Drew for some reason. And I'll talk about that right now. K Michelle, in my opinion, she came on the show thinking she was going to be somewhat of a queen bee because she is a quote semi-celebrity and a singer, and they would be starstruck to have her around. But what she don't understand is these girls been on Housewives for 10, 12, however many years it's been out. They done been around enough stars. They're not starstruck. Okay, Angela Oakley, her husband was in the league. She done been around enough stars. They're not starstruck. They're at the BET Awards. They've been at the Grammy Awards. They've been in different parties and VIP events. So you don't seem to get the motion from them that you want. Like, oh, it's K Michelle, and they kissing your butt. No, they treat you like any other housewife, especially as a rookie. They're gonna test you, they're gonna get dirt on you, and they may throw some shade at you. You got to be able to take that, Kay. Now, your celebrity just does not impress them. That's one thing I'm finding out from you. You're mad because they're not kissing your butt, they're not starstruck, your celebrity is not impressing them, and you're not being the queen bee that you think you were supposed to be. Now, why are you worried about these men that you are no longer dating and you are married now? Your husband should have an issue with you mad at these women about who they dated, that you know, and he's married to you. That makes no sense to me. Even if they didn't tell you I was dating your ex, you shouldn't be that mad about it. They're an ex for a reason. And you married. So you keep throwing out there, I'm a married woman, but you keep worried about what the hell your ex is doing and who they sleeping with. You a married woman. They're ex for a reason. Now, should they have told you? Yes. But if Portia was not friends with you or Drew is not friends with you, why should they tell you they dating somebody who used to know you or used to like you before you came into this friend circle? Now, is it courtesy to say it? Yes, but they don't have to tell you that because they weren't your friends when they were dating these people. Um, I don't understand why your husband is not your dentist. That makes no sense to me. I personally believe this marriage is arranged somewhat because, according to Kay Michelle, she was supposed to marry that other dude that Portia was dating, allegedly. But she ended up coming on the show marrying him 2 weeks before the show aired. It could be an arranged marriage for him to make a little money off the show. She give him a little bit of her salary if he come on as her husband because they don't seem affectionate when they together. They seem like they just best friends. Okay, she's telling him, when they were in the dentist office, this nice young lady walks by who looked, kind of cute. You can work in my husband's office, and then she's on Andy Cohen shows, telling them she doesn't like when he standing over these women because his private parts is so big. Like, really, K Michelle? She don't want no nice women around, don't want him around any nice women, but you can sit up with these women talking about your ex. I personally think this was somewhat of an arranged marriage. They have been knowing each other forever and she trusts him. I don't think she actually wanted to be married to him. He may have been a guy, like they say, she circles the block with in between relationships, but she needed a husband to go on the show and he was willing to marry her because they're friends. And she probably promised him compensation because every time she goes on some reality TV show, he pops up as her love interest. Marriage Boot Camp, he was there. And then she had her own little show for a minute about K Michelle and her family back in Memphis. He was there. He always pops up when she's doing a reality TV show. Just my opinion, okay? Allegedly. But I've seen, if you go look at Marriage Boot Camp and go search K. Michelle reality TV show, whatever the name of it was, he was there then on that show and Marriage Boot Camp, Marriage Boot Camp. So I think he's just a person she brings along when she needs to shoot a show and needs a partner, and she may pay him a fee for that. And because they've been knowing each other so long and maybe dated off and on, she trusts him to keep her secrets. Just my opinion, okay? Shamia seems to be using Kelly as her lapdog and feeding Kelly and K Michelle dirt on Portia, maybe some secrets she know about Portia, because they seem to know everything Portia's doing. She's doing the dirt for Shamia, the dirt that Shamia won't do. K Michelle and freaking Kelly. That's where I'm looking at. K Michelle gives me the type of woman who operates in chaos and chaos only. If everything is going smooth in that group, like they were sitting there, they just had the sound bath. Everybody was nice and calm. Phaedra prepared a beautiful meal for them. And by the way, while they was fighting, Pinky Cole and Angela was like looking at the food like, and Phaedra like, "Ooh, this look good. What is this? This organic? This tastes good." They was eating. They over the mess. And one thing I know about Pinky, she has took herself out of that group chat. She's still cool with them girls, and she gonna talk to Kay because that's her line sister, and she gonna talk to Kelly and them. But she removed herself out of that group chat real slow. Her and Angela over there in the corner kikiing. The same people who was arguing down to the ground up there in Dallas. Pinky peaked real quick. That's not the direction to go. So I think Pinky will be on that show because she's definitely changing up. She'll get a second season, at least in my opinion. Um, K Michelle, she seems like she wants to be the center of attention in the girl group. She doesn't know how to she keeps saying, I've been sabotaged in Atlanta. The women treated me bad here. Apparently, at some point, people wouldn't work with her, stylists wouldn't work with her, hairdressers wouldn't work with her, whatever. So she's always had a hard time in Atlanta. But I'm like, have you looked at yourself? Now, I've defended K. Michelle when Rashida didn't believe that dude Memphis allegedly was putting hands on her, and I felt like Rashida should apologize to her, considering what happened to her daughter and her son recently. I said, you might want to owe that girl an apology. And that guy Memphis married one of her friends, and he was doing something similar to that person. So K. Michelle came in telling the truth. The problem with K. Michelle, once again, another issue I see is K. Michelle is messing up this crossover from VH1 to Bravo, like Love and Hip Hop coming over to Bravo, those type of girls. Because, as you know, Love and Hip Hop 15 years is gone. There's a lot of unemployed people down there in Atlanta. Now they have small circles, and you have the women and men of these different shows, Married to Medicine, Love and Hip Hop, the Housewives. They cross over into each other. You see Candy hanging out with certain groups of people. You see Yandy and Quad hanging out from Married to Medicine, Love and Hip Hop. So they do cross over. And so there's going to be a lot of unemployed reality TV stars down there. Some of them people may be able to cross over to um, Housewives of Atlanta. For instance, Kendra and Jock. It's a different field, but Kendra's a lawyer. She could come in as a friend of Phaedra, who's a lawyer. Who knows? Just my thought. Now, if you hear somebody else say it, you know they got it from me because I'm the first person I've heard said this. But yeah, they could cross over easily. Now, if Bravo wants to bring that over, is being determined by how K. Michelle is acting right now. You're a whole entertainer, and you can't even keep a grip on your temper on this show. That show, like they do fun stuff, they throw shade, they have disputes, but it don't get that deep like you're trying to take it, K. Michelle. You've brought chaos since you've been here day one. But as soon as the show airs, then you on Twitter explaining everything or on social media explaining everything and all that. Like, do that on the show. Don't go to the confessionals being a gangster, as they say. Don't go to Twitter with Twitter thumbs, the thumb gangster stuff. Go do it on the show. And you said it on Andy, where I'm used to talking to people online. I learn how to talk to people up front. If you can't communicate like that, then join Toastmasters or something. If you can stand on stage and sing to people, you can surely sit down with these young ladies and have a real conversation that don't require you to cuss and scream and shout. Because that's what they're telling you. Stop the screaming, shouting, and cussing and fighting. Um, K. Michelle, we first was introduced to her from Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta and Love and Hip Hop. Uh, LA. You know, she had an issue with the ladies in LA and she had an issue with the ladies in Atlanta. So that's why I'm saying it's hard for her to have that, as Portia said, that level of friendship with women, because she seemed to think that she is they jealous of her. I don't know. There's a sense of jealousy from K Michelle if somebody's on the show. And I think one of the girls from LA said it. I forget her name, but you know what I'm talking about. She had just did an interview. Real pretty girl. Her mother was a singer. It'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, she was saying how she didn't do anything to K Michelle, but K Michelle just didn't like her. So I don't know if K Michelle is jealous of some of the other women who be on the show that are in the same profession she in, especially if they're just as beautiful as her. She has some kind of, I ain't gonna say it's jealousy, but it's some kind of issue with that. That's why I say she wants to be the queen bee. You know, she's attacking Drew's singing career. She was on Shannon Sharp's show allegedly the other day. I ain't throwing people out there, but she is not allegedly. We heard her say it. She wanted to go versus against the Muppet. And we know who everybody calls a Muppet. We know that's Tamar allegedly. Tamar Braxton, I've seen in person. I've seen her in person sing. Tamar Braxton got bars. As you say, Rashida got bars. No, Tamar got bars. And I'm going to be honest, K. Michelle, I don't think you can beat Tamar in the singing contest. That woman, like her or love her, one thing you never going to take away from Tamar Braxton, she can sing. She can sing. I watched her live, no recording, whatever. That girl can sing. And one bar for bar, K Michelle, you're probably not going to out sing Tamar. Whether y'all like Tamar or not, we know Tamar be a cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs sometimes, but we cannot take away from the fact that she is very, very talented. And K Michelle is just as talented, but I think if you went verses with Tamar, that Love and War album, she would run you in the ground. I'm just sorry. And that's just my opinion. You know, it's not even about being favorites. I've seen both of them sing, and I've seen Tamar in person singing. That woman can sing. She's on each show that she's been on, and even Marriage Boot Camp, she's always had conflicts with women for some reason. She's always screaming and shouting and want to fight. She always bring that same boyfriend around who's now her husband as her love interest. She's always jealous of the other women who try to be singers. It's something about K. Michelle. If she is not the star and the spotlight is not on her, she do not know how to function. She do not know how to function in just a girl group setting. She does not know how to function in just hanging out with the girls. Because I don't think she does that a lot. And that's just my opinion. And coming onto this show after seeing her on reality TV all these years, I've seen zero growth. Even though she says she's growing and it's the same K to me. I see the same thing. And I say that to say this before I end. Again, a lot of reality TV girls from VH1 is looking for employment. K. Michelle, you was supposed to be the blueprint to show them how to cross over from that love and hip hop rah drama to something still a little rah rah, but more subtle with it. And you are failing the assignment, baby. If I was Bravo, I wouldn't bring another VH1 person over there. I mean, maybe Yandy. I think Yandy is trying to slowly get into that Married to Medicine crew. But Quad got to make sure she keep her spot there. We love Quad. Quad gonna always be Married to Medicine, but Quad gonna have to find a man, or there's some people on there that want to push Quad out the door. So Quad, go find you a dentist or somebody. I don't know. Maybe K. Michelle can introduce you to a dentist. And I say that because, last season we did see Yandy in a situation with Quad when Quad was having a disagreement with the girls and Yandy was there kind of pulling Quad back. So Yandy has already showed her face on the show. So maybe Yandy and Quad have found them some boyfriends that's in the medical field and keep solidify their spot there. I don't know. But I will say this about K. Michelle. Between K. Michelle and Kelly, one of them may return. I prefer it be Kelly, and I think K. Michelle should get one more run at it. But if you keep going against Portia, because you seem to be jealous of the OGs, and she meant that when she said that on Andy's show about people seem to like the OGs. Yeah, because we've seen their struggles, we've seen their battles, we've seen their wins, and we've seen their losses. So we have, as viewers, we have attached ourselves to them. Where we, even though they may do stupid stuff, like we're not saying Portia was good when she allegedly dating Simon and filing all that. Nobody was all in agreement like that's good, Portia. But we also respect the fact that she did it in open. We seen it. She didn't hide it. Okay, but because we grew up watching Portia and we understand her struggles, we, from hitting rock bottom to bringing herself back up, we do have a liking toward her. Okay, so it's a love-hate relationship, just like Kenya. God knows we hated half the stuff Kenya was doing. Oh my God, I used to be so mad at Kenya. But it's a love-hate relationship because when you came on the show, Brittany, and did what you did to Kenya, we was pissed. Even though most of us couldn't stand half the stuff Kenya did, but she was an OG. She earned our respect because she had longevity, had been there. She'd been to her ups and downs, and we hung in there with her. That's all we're saying. So you can't come in the show trying to immediately go after the OGs and kick them off their spot. It just doesn't work like that. See how Angela came in, worked her way in? Hell, if I didn't know, I think Angela was an OG. She was a perfect addition. Okay? Shamia was a perfect friend to the show, but she's not making a good actual full-time castmate. So personally, like I said, push them away. Make Shamia and Kelly friends of the show. And I need to see K Michelle just operate by herself. Or make K Michelle and Shamia friends of the show and see if Kelly can operate when they're not around. Take one out of that group. The OGs ain't going nowhere unless they voluntarily go. Okay, but the splitting the people up like that, mm-mm. So Pinky, I didn't, I wasn't liking feeling her at first, but I think Pinky got the memo and she's trying to chill and get her way in. Maybe she's talking to Angela on the side and Angela's showing her how to work this puppy. Kelly ain't got it yet. She on her second season. I personally think Kelly should be out the door because she's throwing, even on the interview, she's still throwing shade. Bye, Kelly. We're not here for it. And you need the money. Okay, Michelle, don't blow this one. And with that being said, always go longer than I say I'm gonna do. That is my synopsis of K Michelle. I hope you do better. I don't want to see you kick off the show. I like to see everybody employed. Kelly, I can live with or live without. Shamia, you might want to be changing directions because I think Gerald is about done with this. All right, and I think it might have went too far. So you might want to chill out. Maybe Gerald gonna tell her to chill out if she be on next season, and hopefully y'all can figure it out and get it together. But somebody got to go because we don't want to keep saying this. All right. And with that being said, this is Gen X Nation. Um, you guys go and have a great rest of your day. And K Michelle, for the love of God, just let the ladies embrace you. Learn how to talk to the women. Learn how to be their friend. My God, it ain't got to be a battle every day, sis. If you want to fight, go get some gloves and go talk to Clarissa Shield or whatever that girl named that Papoose is dating. Go up there and fight. You don't have to fight every day. Sometimes it's nice to just be soft. All right? All right, this is Gen X Nation. I'm out. You guys go and have a great rest of your day. And as always, peace.